Nimwa. So yes, the point I've been trying to make, push across, is that yes, we see these people who join the demonstration. But at the end of the day, the political parties hold so much sway.
Yeah.
So that we go into an election and the people are going to vote for either the NDC or the NPP.
Almost because there is no choice. So it becomes the lesser of two evils, which is why perhaps we were so excited yesterday when the PNC said that they were going to become a formidable force, which brings us to the conversation that there must be a third option, politically speaking, because otherwise you have no choice. It's either NDC, NPP, or you don't vote.
Yeah.
And when you don't vote, you've actually voted.
And the fixed secondary convener is saying that they don't intend to turn this into a political force.
Yes. No, he did say that.
Yeah.
And then he also said that, but it is political because it is the people in power who have the power to make changes and all of that. So it's difficult. You know, you're asking for change or you're trying to put the people who have the power into a corner so that they make change. But how much power do you actually have to force them to when they are very aware of the power that they hold?
Anyway. So, well, we've seen the Fix the Country protest happening, and there are people who are concerned that, well, after such a demonstration, we're likely to see a super spreader event because we're having this in the times of a pandemic.
Yeah.
If you're looking at the figures right now, it's on the screen, or it's going to be put on the screen shortly.
Yeah.
6,766.
Yes. Yeah.
854 deaths and 381 new cases.
And remember, Israel, that within the last month, this 6,766, it has grown from 1,600.
Yeah.
So we were at 1,600, and within a month, we've gone up to 6,766. Now, Dr. Patrick Kuma-Abuaji is warning that we could get to about 8,000 very soon, which was the peak of the second wave. And we're not that far away from that figure. So definitely something to look out for. And also because, you know, he is saying that we are not adhering to the protocols as we should. And that brings us to our next conversation. We're having a health conversation about the fact that COVID-19 has reared its head again and that the hotspots have changed. Used to be the Greater Accra region and Kumasi, but now it's actually Volta, Bono, and Bono East. We're going to have a conversation about why that is happening. Speaking to Dr. Fred Adomako-Boateng, he's the Director of Health in Bono East, and he's joining us. Good morning. I can see your lips moving, but I can't hear you. Can you unmute?
Good morning.
Ah, there you are. Okay, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well by the grace of God, and you?
I'm very well, thank you. Awesome. Thank you so much for giving us your morning. So I'm just wondering, you know, why do you think that suddenly the COVID-19 demographic has shifted to your area? What's accounting for this?
There are a number of reasons. For those of us who really know Bono East and Techiman, you know, Techiman is a very hot spot for marketing, especially trading. You know, almost virtually everybody comes to Techiman to trade. And then looking at also our geographical location, we kind of are central in the country. And almost you have a lot of cars traversing through the region. So these are the reasons, and then also coupled with the fact that people actually are not adhering to the protocols that we are tried and tested for the country and for COVID-19. These are some of the reasons why we are having these numbers. And I think to buttress what you are saying, for 2020, at the end of December, we had 788 cases. But currently, as we are speaking, we have 1,009 cases for only 2021. So obviously, you can see that the numbers are really higher in this. And then judging from the last month at the Director General of Ghana Health Service, you have recorded more than 200 cases for just about 3 weeks. Right. I have the figures in front of me, and the numbers are still kind of going up. So these are the challenges that we are having, people really adhering. And then if we go across the region, you can see that the way that we used to even check temperatures when people were coming into facility, banking halls, schools, other places, are no more as we used to. You go to other places, the Veronica buckets that were having the water, and then adherence to the nose mask. These are the challenges that we are having in the region. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm listening to you and I'm thinking that a lot of the reasons that you've given for the rise in the numbers are not new reasons. So Techiman last year, at the peak of the second wave, was still, perhaps a market district. There were still people coming through, to shop, to cars passing through. So that hasn't really changed in terms of what Techiman represents. So it must be something else. Now you're talking about the fact that we're not adhering to the COVID-19 protocols. So it looks as if that may be the actual reason. What exactly is your plan to fix that? And what is accounting for that relax? We've kind of relaxed. So what's accounting for that relaxing, especially when we can see that the numbers are going up?
And so basically, if we are looking at June figures, the highest that we recorded, surprisingly, was 6 for the whole month.
Okay.
So you can imagine what the mood people went into.
Okay.
COVID is COVID there, COVID. So the whole of June, we had only about 4-6 cases. So virtually people went to that mood whereby they think COVID is gone. But we just want people to know that until the pandemic and the outbreak is declared over, if you even have one, you still have the problem. And you can see the strain that we are having. And this attests to the fact that this one is, the transmissibility is so high that it can infect a lot of people at the shortest possible time. And that is what we are seeing, especially the strain that we are having. So we were caught unawares from coming from seemingly silent, no cases recorded. People went back to the normal. COVID is gone, COVID there. And then tied with a lot of activities that hitherto we were not supposed to do. Those were the challenges that really sparked. And before you are aware, you see the numbers going up. So these are the challenges that we went through, and then the kind of strain that we are having, accounting for these higher numbers that we are recording in Bono East.
Okay, so I want to talk to you about the Delta variant for a second. But before I do that, though, a couple of weeks ago, the president announced that, he was changing what funerals would look like because it looked as if that was accounting largely to the rise in numbers. Do you think that measure will help your area specifically in terms of bringing the numbers down or controlling the spread?
Yes, we believe so. And I still think that if we go back to the basis, going back to the basis, irrespective of the strain, if we can really go back to putting on our nose and face mask, it will do us a lot of good. The hand hygiene that will break the transmission, prevent us from even reinfecting or infecting ourselves. All these things, if you go back to them, they play a major role. If you look at the developed countries, even those countries that have vaccinated sizable number of their population, when they relax the nose mask and the hand hygiene and social distance, you realize what happened in the United States and UK. So if we can still go back to those basics that we know of, the nose mask, the social distancing, restricting public conferences. These are the things that I think we should go back to and adhere to them, because those were the measures that saved us for the first and the second week. And there are no new measures that we need to put in place. Let's take and go back to them. It can prevent the spread that we are having. Thank you.
Okay, well, you're the director of health, so I'm assuming that you must have a certain amount of power and influence. And I think that Ghanaians have shown over the past few years that, some of us believe there's COVID-19, some don't. Some believe that it doesn't actually even exist. So we can't necessarily put the full responsibility into the hands of the citizens and say, hey, this is what's happening, so do this. So what's the plan for you, for your district, coming from the directorate? What are you actually going to do to make sure that we are going back to the basics, like you said? Because we've shown that if left alone, we won't go back to the basics. We won't wear our masks and we won't wash our hands.
So on Monday, our biggest, about 4 districts are accounting for 70% of the cases that we are having in Bono.
Okay.
Techiman is contributing Techiman Municipal is contributing about 26% of the current cases. In Kranza South, 24%, in Kintamponov, 19.5%. If you sum all these, it's accounting for about 70% of the cases that we are having. So the measures that we have put in place, for instance, in Techiman South, the municipal directorate, together with the agencies, the security agencies, are now making sure that all cars coming through Kumasi to Bono East, Techiman specifically, we ensure that people are in their mask. That's the first thing that we are going to ensure. Now we are also going to mount up the temperature checks a lot, and then to make sure that people, when they are entering into facilities, they are giving the hand hygiene sanitizer to really sanitize their hands. And this is not only for Techiman South, Techiman North, Chilbodom specifically, also on Wednesday, took a massive campaign to the communities, and then they are even giving those masks, sanitizers to the community. So these are things that we are going to go back and then to enforce. The banking halls, all the other areas that we know people are supposed to enter with their nose mask on, and also to make sure that they are in the nose mask when they enter. These are the enforcements that we are going to do together with the security agencies to make sure that people go back to the basics.
Okay, so when are these enforcements going to start? Because you're still talking about it as if it's yet to.
It's already started from Monday for Techiman, actually.
Okay, so walk me through this, because I feel like it should be a very collaborative process. If people are coming from Accra, for example, and there's no enforcement in Accra, just as they enter into Techiman, they've been sitting in the buses chatting, no face masks, whatever. Then as soon as they drive into Techiman, they see the police people, they wear their face masks. How effective is that then? Are you going to collaborate, with perhaps the drivers' unions, the police in Accra, the places these buses are coming from? Are you just focused on the entry points?
So COVID anywhere is COVID everywhere. And in as much as we are going to put these mechanisms and measures in place, if our surrounding regions, other districts also do not cooperate, then it's obviously going to be a challenge. And as you said, if the other agencies do not come together, the traditional, the religious powers, the political powers do not come together, it's going to be a challenge. We will have to continue to advocate. But on our side, the measures that we will be able to do, especially people coming from all other regions, we are going to ensure that as long that they are going to pass through our jurisdiction, we will make sure that we enforce the law.
Okay.
And then until they leave, that one is within our ambit that we'll be able to do. And then secondly, we're also going to make sure, and this we are doing together, it's led by the regional minister. Okay. And we are supporting together with all the immigration, security, and other agencies. They are actually leading us, and we are supporting in this activity. Okay. So we will continue to advocate and make sure that these are done. But the point is, how long can we continue to do that if we ourselves do not change and see the need for us to do the needful? This work that we are doing is a collective thing. As you said, if you put on the mask, if somebody is going to check and then you leave the mask when the person is no more, what good do you do to us or to you to yourself? Exactly. So I think the education should continue, because I always say that we are still not out. And we should know that the virus is also changing and becoming wiser as the day goes by. Because from Alpha till now, anytime you get a new strain, the infectivity is so high. So obviously the next strain that we are going to get is also going to spread faster than what we are currently facing. And this is also fueled by our behavior. So I think all of us should continue to talk about actually adhering to these protocols and then making it part and parcel of us, and not really a piecemeal thing that when these cases are going up, we are seen to be working. But now, masking should be part of us. You remember, you go to Asia, even before COVID-19, and you were used to this mask and you were wondering why. It was because of these reasons. So I believe that we will have to continue and then see. Up till now, when we meet the media and other people, they still ask us, is COVID still around? And some people can even ask you, have you seen somebody dying from COVID? This is last week, somebody asked me this way. So it means that we still have a long way to go and we shouldn't stop. Let's continue to educate and then talk to us, even including our health workers.
Of course.
Ourselves.
Okay.
We even are supposed to know better.
Yes.
Let me say that. So it's a behavioral, human behavior issue that we will still have to continue to discuss for us to really to drive. If you really drive this, then the battle is won.
All right, okay. Talking about battles being won, let me speak to the Director of Public Health for the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Franklin Asiedu-Bequin, who joins us as well. Good morning to you, Dr. Bequin. Hello, Dr. Asiedu-Bequin, are you there?
Good morning.
Hi, good morning. So we've been told that the Delta variant, we've been told by the CDC that the Delta variant is more easily transmitted than the common cold, which is very worrying. I would like to know, in your opinion, with the numbers and everything, how concerned are you? And I'm asking how concerned you are because perhaps your level of concern will be able to impact how seriously we as the public are taking this new wave as is.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that we are concerned, very much concerned, because you see, if you look at the second wave, what is happening is similar to what happened at the same time. So when the cases go down, and people decide not to wear the mask, and then we are now hit by a very efficient variant, and the cases go up, and then we decide to now wear the mask, and the cases go down, and we stop. I mean that is the challenging situation that we are in. So far as the global pandemic is on, I do not think that we should stop wearing the mask, because if you are in a country that you have just like about 1% fully vaccinated, then we don't have the protection that will allow us not to wear the mask. So I think this issue about the mask wearing, it might be sustained until we see that there's a global halt or end of the pandemic. So I think that that's the message that we need to get. So it's not just about the health sector driving the need for the mask. It must be collective, the media, the religious leaders. Everybody must see that we wear the mask, because the guy around you may be the one who is going to infect you. So I think that we need to all get together and make sure that we wear the mask. You see, the other advantage is that whether it's a Delta or Beta or Alpha, the non-pharmaceutical interventions are the same. It's about wearing the mask at all times, washing your hands with soap or running water, or using a sanitizer, and keeping the distance. I mean, that is the key cardinal interventions that we need to sustain.
Right. Dr. Bequin, I think that even children as young as 3 years old and 4 years old can rattle off and tell you that they're supposed to be wearing masks. So we know that we should be doing this, but obviously we are not. So I would like to know again, what is the strategy for actually making it happen so that it goes from what we know to what we're actually doing?
Yeah, so the education is one, and then there's also a bit of another way of enforcing it. You see, so the enforcement can be very often. So you can have the enforcement by this, the national security or the security apparatus. Then you can also get enforcement from colleagues. I mean, if I see you wearing a mask, I can tell you that carry your mask on. I mean, I think we should be able to get that kind of enforcement going on, so that people are conscientized about the need to wear the mask. Then also, like if you are going to sit in a trotto or a minivan or whatever, you must make sure that the station driver says that if you don't wear the mask, you are not going to board the bus. Or the driver tells you that without the mask, you get down. If you are going to the mall, I mean, the early stages of the response, that energy was there. I think we need to go back to it. People must ensure that others wear the mask. So it's not just about the security apparatus. We ourselves can make sure that people wear the mask. That, I think, is the way we should go about it. This issue about being casual about the mask wearing, I think is worrying the country. It is sending us back. People must be active and get people to wear the mask. That must be the drive.
Right. Okay, so we're about 1,030 people right now. We're about 1,030 people away from matching the peak number and that we've experienced of active cases like we did in the second wave. And I think it was around this number that the president decided that we need to lock down and we need to shut things down. As we're approaching that 8,000 figure, slowly but almost surely, are you going to begin to advise that we begin to shut down parts of the country?
You see, when I hear this question, I get wondering, do you want to get there? Well, the easy way is wear the mask. So why do you go for that?
Nobody wants to get there, Dr.
Yes,
McQueen, but
so
obviously people are not wearing the mask.
Yes, so I think that, so that is why to me, you are an advocate. You see, let's get the whole mindset of Ghana that we need to wear the mask. When we try to wear the mask straight forward, I can tell you point blank that this case will just slide down. So that should be the direction, rather than asking whether I want to go a lockdown. So let's rather change the narrative that everybody must be. So the whole Ghanaian direction must be wear the mask, wear the mask, wear the mask. I mean, talking about rather than asking for a lockdown, we cannot survive a lockdown. We do not have that structure, that infrastructure that supports a lockdown. So that shouldn't be a discussion. I think the discussion must be wearing the mask. And as I said, you see your colleague and say, man, wear your mask. That must, so you need to be not aggressive about people wearing the mask. Rather than talking about a lockdown, I don't think that lockdown discussion must even be part of our thinking. Our thinking is wear the mask. So I think that your colleague wear the mask. You see somebody working, my man, wear a mask. That should be the direction, not a lockdown discussion. We cannot survive a lockdown. We do not have the infrastructure and a setup for a lockdown. So I don't think we should start talking about a lockdown. What you should be talking about is wearing the mask. That should be a discussion.
Right. I agree with you that a lockdown is not the way to go because we cannot afford it. But you're a Ghanaian, as am I. And we all know we're supposed to wear the mask. So sometimes when the response is, they change the mindset to wear the mask. This is Ghana and these are Ghanaians. And we don't change our mindsets that easily. If it were, we would be wearing the masks. So I feel like it's always definitely a conversation that we should have to remind people of the fact that if they don't wear masks, this is where we would get to. Then there's also the issue of enforcement, Dr. McQueen. I may be able to tell my fellow media personnel, I may be able to tell Israel, wear your mask. But I don't necessarily have the power to do anything about it if he makes the decision not to. That's in your hands. So what are you doing about it so that enforcement is key and enforcement has penalties and people are being punished for not wearing masks or not washing their hands, or companies are being penalized for not ensuring that people are washing their hands as they get into the banks or the restaurants? I can't do that. I don't have the power to, but you do. So what are you doing about that?
Yeah, so you see, yesterday I was with a colleague and he was telling me that even the bank, I mean, I'm surprised, if the bank teller decides not to wear the mask, it's the mindset. I mean, so I think, so it's both ways. I think that the Ghanaian must also have a different mindset. Whilst we're also going to advocate and tell the security people that we need to abdicate. I mean, if the average Ghanaian does not see it right to wear a mask, then the punitive sanctions must take full course. So I think that, and if it happens, the Ghanaians should also not turn around and come and complain. Because I was thinking that, why should you want to get a policeman to let you kneel down because you are not wearing a mask? But I think we are getting to that end, and then the sanctions should take full course.
Now, Dr. Franklin Siedu-Bekwai, Israel here, and thank you for joining us, and a good morning to you. So, yes, we've talked about the enforcement, but it's probably time we start thinking about maybe reviewing the sanctions regime, don't you think so? So that it becomes more enforceable. Because as it is now, it sounds quite unrealistic to throw somebody into prison or fine the person heavily for not wearing their face mask.
Yeah, but I think that there have been several forms of implementation of the EI. You know, there have been instances that people are in a bus and the police stops them and ask them to step aside. I mean, those things can be done. So I think that there are several forms of it that we're going to look at to ensure that, because clearly, as was said by your colleague, we are actually inching up very high, and the rate of transmission is so rapid that. And one thing I want to say is that let's up the discourse, the discussion that not wearing a mask is a no-no. I mean, when clearly it's like I was telling some guy, it's like you decide you are wearing a boxer shorts and decide not to wear pants under it. You can't go to town. I mean, when that mindset it hurts the Ghanaian, the mask becomes part of your lifestyle. So I'm thinking that it's going to be a mixture of the two, getting the security apparatus to enforce the sanctions, and also trying to keep up the mindset. And I think I get worried when I see these celebrities having parties in enclosed and they are putting on Facebook and things like that. I mean, what are they trying to portray? I think that's why that's what I'm talking about. I'm coming back to you. So I mean, those things are so distasteful in this era that we're in. What are you trying to portray to the average Ghanaian? I mean, you're in an era because you are lucky you had a vaccine, so you are somewhat protected, and you are doing that. Is that a good mindset? You people look up to you, and you do a party, and you are showing it on Instagram and Facebook, and people are dancing in the small room. I think those kind of mindsets are challenging for us, and I don't think we should encourage those things. And that's why I'm happy that you, the brand ambassador, you need to talk to your colleagues that those things are so distasteful for the average Ghanaian. You have been vaccinated, and you're having a party, and you are also displaying it on social media. I don't think it's good.
All right. And finally, I want to ask you about the Fix the Country demonstration yesterday. So the numbers came out. Are you that concerned I'm sure you've seen the videos, are you that concerned about the compliance to the protocols?
I didn't fully watch it, but you see, I think that I keep on saying that the average Ghanaian mindset must be looked at, because nobody is forcing you to be part of a march or a demonstration, and you know that this is a spreader event, and yet you want to join. So you see, for that one, you see, the security were kind of guarding it, but the issue is that you as an individual, you are at risk. you are. I remember in the time past, they try to stop it because they think that it's a spreader event, and yet people will go to court just to have it. What are you trying to achieve in that context? I think that somehow people try to wear the mask, but I think that we deliberately get ourselves involved in those kind of activities, and we need to have the discussion that the virus spreads in numbers. So far as the distances between you are less than 1 meter apart, no matter your political affiliation, you can get the virus.
But
so
it's an outdoor event.
Yes. I said so far as the distance between two individuals are less than 1 meter. Yes. I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's church, whether it's the cinema, so far as it's less than 1 meter apart. And it's worse if it's in an enclosed place. That's why, to me, I said this issue about parties in enclosed places, I think serious sanctions must go on to it. For people who are actually even showing it on the Facebook and Instagram, I think it's so much wrong to be doing that.
No, so you're beginning to sound like you would wish that the law enforcement agencies will look at people who post these things, their parties, on social media and go after them.
Yes, I think that those things should start happening. I mean, to me, if it's in an open space, fine. But if we have it in an enclosed place and showing it, I mean, there's evidence that you need to take it on. There's clear evidence that you need to take it on. Because it's deliberately infecting people.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Franklin Siedu-Bekweh, Director of Public Health at the Ghana Health Service. So yeah, he makes that point. I mean, and he's been making that point for a while now, that people have parties and they tend to post them on social media. It's like you're flaunting, you've broken the law.
The law, yeah. Let me just put it in perspective for you. So the alpha, beta, and gamma strain, if you have it, you'll infect a maximum of 2 to 2.5 people. If you have the Delta variant, you'll infect 3.5 to 4 people. So that's almost twice the number of people that you can infect. And remember that you may be fine, you may not have underlying health conditions, you may survive, but the people you love or the people around you may not. They may have exactly underlying conditions. And so sometimes it's not only about protecting yourself, but it's also about protecting the people that you love. So mask up. It's very simple. Just mask up, wash your hands, sanitize, and social distance. Very simple. Those rules haven't changed, and they still have the power to make this go away or make this manageable.
Yeah. And we keep your mask on all the time.
Yeah.
So long as you have to be in public, just keep the mask.
Keep your mask on. All right. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Dr. Bekweh. I'm very grateful for your time. Let's take a short break, and when we come back, we have more here on the AM Show.